Animal Crossing New Horizons has completely blown the gaming scene by storm, and for good reason. Whether some believe the timing of its release set it up for its success, or if it's just the fact that it could very well be considered the new pinnacle of the Animal Crossing series as a whole, it's still resonating with the gaming community either way. However, despite all of this, I think there's still room for improvement that future updates could provide us with. How are we today, everybody? I hope you're all good. My name is Peter, and for this video, I'd like to talk about the things I'd like to see improved in Animal Crossing New Horizons. While New Horizons is already a stellar experience, there's still some things that I think could be added to make it even better, whether this takes the form of quality of life changes or additional content. But before we get started, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the Peter Gargan channel to stay tuned for future content. Let's see if we can get this channel to reach 1,000 subscribers, because I think it's doable, especially after the insane levels of growth we've been seeing recently. Also, don't forget to ring that bell with notifications on so that you don't miss the latest. Thank you very much, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The first thing I wanted to talk about is by far the biggest issue I've had with New Horizons thus far, and it comes down to the tool durability system. Similarly to Breath of the Wild, your tools will eventually break and be rendered unusable after a certain number of uses, meaning you have to craft a replacement. If I'm going to be honest, this mechanic has been nothing but an annoyance to me, as I don't really keep track of how much I've used a certain tool, and don't really see why I should do so, as I feel having to keep that in the back of my mind goes against the laid-back purposes behind Animal Crossing. I doubt there will even be an update that would change this, but I wanted to address this because I'm curious as to whether or not I'm the only person who thinks this about the durability system. It's just that we've gone the whole series without it until New Horizons came along, so I can't help but feel like the series has taken a step back in this particular case. Don't get me wrong, New Horizons has certainly taken plenty of steps forward. It's just this area where I feel older Animal Crossing games have the edge. Speaking of tools, I wish there was some sort of a toolbox item in which you can keep your tools within, so that it takes up less space in your inventory. This change would be somewhat reminiscent to how in Pokemon Sun and Moon, you had access to Pokerides that pretty much replaced moves required through hidden machines. This was always a criticism the Pokemon series had faced for years, until Pokerides came along and served the same purpose without having to use up a slot in your team for a Pokemon that only uses HMs, or having to put HMs on an actual team member. I don't know if this is the best comparison I could have made, but it's similar to what I was going for with the intention of saving inventory space in mind, because if you want to make sure you have one of every tool on you at the same time, that's already a pretty big chunk of your inventory reserved. Another improvement I'd like to see is how the crafting itself is handled. Has anybody else noticed how tedious it is when you find yourself in a position where you have to craft multiple items in bulk? Basically, if you want to craft more than one of the same item, let's say fish bait as an example, it only lets you craft one at a time, meaning you have to constantly sit through the crafting animation, constantly mashing the A button to make it go faster, then keep selecting the option to craft another item. Why can't we just have an option where we can select exactly how many we'd like to craft if we can do multiple, so that we can do it all in one go? This would make crafting so much more efficient and bearable in my opinion, and it means you can get on with other stuff more easily. While we're on the subject of crafting, I asked my older brother if there was anything he'd like to see improved, and he suggested the idea that if you need to craft something that requires another item to be crafted first, why not have the option to craft the initial ingredients, then the final item, all in one go? I thought this was a great idea that happened to tie in with what I was saying, so I figured I'd throw it in. Also, at the museum, why does assessing a fossil have to be a separate option from donating them? Can't Blathers just assess them on the spot, then immediately donate which ones haven't already been discovered, so that we don't have to put up with the hassle of bringing up the menu a second time? Maybe that criticism is a little nitpicky, and it's just me being impatient, but I just thought having that option would make museum visits just a tad more convenient. This next idea isn't so much of an improvement, but it's more of an addition that I feel would make New Horizons much more interesting for series veterans. For those of you that play New Leaf on the 3DS, you'll know what I mean when I say I'd like to see the return of Tortimer Island. Tortimer Island was an area you could visit, where you could play mini-games with either friends or strangers around the globe to collect medals, which are then redeemed for some tropical-themed prizes. If you performed better than your teammates, you would also get more bonus medals, so there's also a level of competition while cooperating at the same time. I don't know about anyone else, but but this was without a doubt my favourite feature in New Leaf. Animal Crossing is all about connecting with others, and teaming up with people while also competing against them was some of the most fun I've had, not just on the game, but on the 3DS as a whole. I think it's such a missed opportunity that New Horizons, the game with the whole gimmick of your residence being an island rather than a town, doesn't have this feature, and it has contributed to why I feel that New Horizons is rather lacking in the multiplayer department compared to New Leaf. Hopefully it's been saved for a future update, as I think it simply makes too much sense to bring it back. Anyway, those were the ideas that I could think of. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's any quality of life changes you'd like to see added in future updates in the comments below. If there's enough ideas, I may even do a part 2 featuring your suggestions, so get commenting away if there's anything I may have missed. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.